You know, I spent the first 20 years of my aerospace career doing systems analysis on manufacturing systems, running numbers until the system either held or it didn't. No gray area. No, it'll probably be fine. The data told you what was true. I brought that same framework into real estate, and I'll be honest, most people in this industry look at 1 week of MLS data and call it a trend. That's like reading one line of telemetry and declaring that the engine is healthy. So every week I sit down with the full data set, years of it, and I run the numbers the way an engineer would. What you're about to hear is not hype, it is not cheerleading, it is the Portland Metro and Clark County, Washington real estate market, analyzed the way it deserves to be. Let's start with a concept that underpins everything I'm going to share with you today, the rolling average. If you've ever watched a stock chart, you've probably seen that smooth line running through all the jagged weekly noise. That's a moving average. In our market, I calculated 12-week rolling average, meaning I take the most recent 12 weeks of data, average them, and then each week I step forward 1 week at a time to see where that average is going. The reason this matters is that any single week of MLS data is almost meaningless on its own. Holiday weeks, weather events, interest rate surprises, they all create spikes and dips that have nothing to do with the underlying trend. The 12-week rolling average smooths all of that out, and when that rolling average starts moving in a consistent direction, that's your early warning signal. That's the market telling you something real before it shows up in the headlines. Now, before I get into the supply and demand numbers, let me tell you what's happening with mortgage rates, because everything in this market flows through the cost of money. Based on rates from On Point Federal Credit Union, 30-year conventional rate for the week of March 22nd is 6.25% with 0.5 points and an APR of 6.354%. And here's the part I want you to pay attention to. Just 3 weeks ago, that same rate was 5.625%. We've moved 62.5 basis points. That's nearly 2/3 of a point in less than a month. Think about what that means. On a $555,000 purchase, which is right at our current median price, a 62 basis point move on a $444,000 loan, assuming 20% down, increases the monthly payment by roughly $200. That is real money. That is the difference between qualifying and not qualifying for some buyers. If you are a buyer in this market right now and you have not talked to your lender this week, you need to do that today. Now, let's get into the market data. For the week of March 16th through the 22nd, 508 homes sold in the Portland metro area and Clark County, Washington. The comparable week last year, according to the MLS data, saw 420 closings. So we are running ahead of last year. On a 12-week rolling basis, we are averaging 390 homes sold per week right now, compared to 376 at the same time last year. That's a 3.9% improvement. The market is moving product. Don't let anyone tell you buyers aren't buying. Now, let's look at supply. Active listings came in at 6,088 this week. Think of the supply as a faucet and demand as the bathtub drain. A year ago at the same time, that faucet was running at 5,509. On a rolling 12-week basis, we're averaging 5,713 active listings right now versus 5,135 last year. That's an 11.3% increase in inventory. That is the most significant year-over-year change in supply we have seen in this market cycle. Buyers, this is your moment to understand. You have more choices than you have had in 2 years. More listings means more opportunities to negotiate, more days to think, and more chances to find something that actually checks all your boxes. However, if you find the perfect home, you still need to jump on it, because those really great houses with the great floor plans and the perfect interior at a really wonderful price fly. They really fly off the shelves, as we say. But, and this is where it gets interesting, the demand side of the ledger is also growing. New pending sales this week came in at 663 versus 659 at the same week last year. The 12-week rolling average for new pending is 564, up 12.7% from 501 a year ago. Total pending pipeline right now stands at 3,147 versus 2,930 a year ago. So we have more supply, but more demand. But supply is growing faster. That shift in the ratio is what creates a more balanced market. Let's talk price reductions, because this is an often overlooked signal. This week saw 577 price reductions, with 260 of those being reductions of $15,000 or more. The comparable week last year had 532. On a rolling 12-week basis, we're averaging 517 price reductions per week, up 10.8% from 467 last year. When price reductions are rising alongside inventory, that's the market's way of telling sellers sellers. The price you thought was right in a different rate environment may need to be recalibrated. You're too high. Sellers who adjust early capture a buyer pool. Sellers who wait find that same pool has moved on to the next listing. Now, let's talk about prices themselves. The average sale price this week was $599,225 versus $592,533 at the same time last year, a 1.1% increase. The median sale price was $555,000 versus $542,000, up 2.4% year over year. On a rolling 12-week basis, the average sale price is $611,658, up 1.6% from $602,302 last year. The median rolling average is $543,229, essentially flat, down just 0.4% from $545,167 a year ago. The March to date average sale price is running at $630,509 versus $611,207 in March 2025, a 3.2% gain. Prices are not crashing. They are not surging. They're in a zone of modest, durable appreciation, which is exactly what a healthy market looks like. The sale to list price ratio tells a very specific story right now. The average sales price as a percentage of the asking price is 99.38%, meaning on average, homes are selling for 99 cents on the dollar of asking price. Last year at this time, that number was 97.48%. That's nearly a 2-point swing. What that means practically is that sellers who price correctly are getting close to full price. The median sale to list ratio is 100.93%, meaning half of all homes this week sold at or above list price. That's not a buyer's market. That is a balanced to slightly seller favorable market in the right price ranges. So let's turn to days on market. The average days on market this week is 63 versus 71 at the same time last year, an 8-day improvement. The median days on market is 24 versus 20 last year. So the median home is actually sitting 4 days longer than it did a year ago. Don't let those two numbers confuse you. They're measuring different things. The average is being pulled down by well-priced move-in ready homes that are flying off the shelf. The median tells you that the middle of the market is experiencing a bit more friction than last year, and so is the upper end. On a rolling 12-week basis, average days on market is 73.4 days, up 4.2 days from 69.2 last year. Median days on market rolling is 42.2 days, actually down from 44.1 last year. The trend in both is improving, and that improvement has been consistent for the past 6 weeks. The bumpable contingency count this week stands at 79, with 23 of those being backup offers. Bumpable deals are homes that are under contract but still accepting backup offers, which tells you how many buyers are still in play even after the primary contract is executed. A count near 80 is historically healthy and suggests continued buyer engagement. On the distress side, there are 80 active REO and short sale listings and 104 in the pending pipeline. These numbers remain very low in historical context and continue to suggest that there is no systemic financial distress driving the supply. This is not 2010. Let me zoom out and give you the strategic picture. We have rising inventory, up 11.3% year over year on a rolling basis. We have rising demand, new pending up 12.7% rolling. We have modest price appreciation at the median and low single digits on average. We have rates that have moved sharply higher in the past 3 weeks, thanks President Trump. And we have price reductions rising, which is the market's price discovery mechanism working exactly as it should in a more balanced environment. The narrative this week is one of healthy recalibration. Inventory expansion gives buyers more options. Rising pending activity tells us demand is absorbing that supply. Rising price reductions tell us sellers who are anchored to peak market pricing are being asked, actually they're being told by the market to adjust. And rates that have moved 62 basis points in 3 weeks are the wild card that can accelerate any of these dynamics. What does this mean for you? If you're a buyer, you are in a better position than you have been in 2 years, but the rate clock is ticking. If you've been waiting on the sidelines for inventory to improve, it has. If you're a seller, correct pricing is not optional. The 2-point improvement in the sale to list ratio tells you that homes priced well are selling. The 577 price reductions tell you that homes priced wrong are sitting. Don't chase the market down. The market will find the right price. The question is whether the seller gets to control that process or whether the market does it for them. And when you chase the market down, you usually end up getting less than you would have if you just priced it right in the first place. If you want to explore active listings in the Portland Metro or Clark County area, go to pdxhomesforsale.net. If you'd like a current market analysis on your home, reach me directly at lauren@pdxhomesforsale.com or call 503-683-1885. And if you found this useful, please hit subscribe down there. This channel, Lauren Perreault, Realtor PDX, publishes this analysis every single week. I'll see you next week with fresh data and the same engineer brain approach. Take care. Have a great week.